To do this, we use what's called a meditation anchor. It's a focal point in the present moment that we direct our attention to. So a meditation anchor could be everything from a song on the radio to a bird chirping outside your window. The most common meditation anchor is the breath. So we focus on the breath. We'll take that for example. We focus on the breath. And again, if you're like me when I started, you're going to focus for maybe half a second and your mind is ping-ponging back and forth to a whole bunch of other things. That's okay. We're not trying to stop those thoughts. We're focused on the breath. Mind wanders, just become aware, come back to the breath. Focused on the breath, all of a sudden we're lost in thought. Could have been minutes. We just become aware, come back to the breath. That's the process of meditation. And with time and practice, we're able to do so from a place of peace. We can watch those thoughts, those distracting thoughts, just become aware of them, and we continue to come back to the breath or whatever our meditation anchor is. So just to get a quick feel for it, we're going to do a very brief meditation to get us started. And we're going to use a breathing technique I refer to as easy breath. We inhale through the nose, and we exhale slow and steady through pursed lips. So like you're blowing out through a straw. By pursing those lips, what you do is help to extend your exhalation. Anytime we slow down our breath and extend our exhale, we help to induce our parasympathetic response, our relaxation response. So just simply by inhaling through the nose and extending that exhale slow and steady, we shift into a parasympathetic state. Now, our body has two fundamental nervous system responses: sympathetic, fight, flight, stress, anxiety. We're all very familiar with that. Parasympathetic, rest, digest, relax, ease. So just simply by extending the exhale, we signal to our body we're safe, we're secure, we're ready to relax. So it's a helpful breathing technique to use certainly in meditation to kind of calm us into that space, but also to use in just moments of everyday life when we start to sense stress creeping up. So we're just going to do a quick meditation, just 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, just to get us going here. So just for this brief one, you guys can remain seated as you are. And I invite you to close your eyes if you'd like. You can keep them open. You can take a peek every now and again if you want, but just generally speaking, it's easier to access a meditative headspace with the eyes closed. So if you'd like, I invite you to close the eyes. And we'll start this brief meditation together with 3 deep breaths. So together, let's inhale through the nose, if that's possible for you. And then sigh it out. And again, inhale. And sigh it out. And lastly, inhale. And sigh it out. Let it go of any heaviness. And so we'll come straight away into that easy breathing technique. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling slow and steady through those pursed lips. Now, if for some reason you can't inhale through the nose, you have some congestion or something like that going on, you can just inhale through the mouth. But if it's accessible to you, we're going to inhale through the nose and exhale slow and steady through those pursed lips, gently extending the exhaling breath. So this easy breath here is going to serve as our anchor, our home base. We're going to allow, as best we can, our attention to rest with that flow of breath in through the nose, slow and steady out through the mouth. And then anytime we find our mind wandered off to the past, thoughts about the future, judgment or analysis of this experience or yourself, just become aware of those thoughts and then redirect our attention back to the breath in through the nose. Slow, steady exhale through those pursed lips. So one breath at a time, we're going to accept ourselves just as we are. So we're going to accept a busy headspace if that's how we find ourselves. We're going to accept any emotions that might be present. No need to change those emotions. Just stay with the breath. We're also going to accept the feel of the body. If there's any aches or pains that can be addressed by adjusting our posture, then we feel free to do so. Otherwise, just continuing to breathe in through the nose. Slow, steady exhale through the mouth. With each cycle of the breath, we're just letting go of any inclination to control our headspace, control our thoughts. Letting go of any inclination to manage or repress our emotions. And we're letting go one breath at a time on a physical level throughout the body. So you might start to notice just a subtle shift throughout the body, throughout the mind, throughout the nervous system during each of those slow, steady exhales. The mind wanders, we notice, come back to the breath. I'll allow you a few moments here just to anchor yourself to your breath without my guide, intending awareness to rest with those inhales through the nostrils, those exhales through pursed lips. Alrighty, now we'll close out this brief meditation together, just as we began, with 3 deep breaths. So let's inhale and sigh it out. And again, inhale and sigh it out. Lastly, inhale and letting go. And as you're ready, taking your time, opening the eyes. You might wish to move or stretch. Now, that experience might have been peaceful for some. It might have been utterly frustrating for others. Emotions might have risen to the surface. It is all meditation. Rather than some forceful pursuit of peace, meditation is a practice in self-acceptance. It's really a practice in self-love. We cultivate this willingness to be present with ourselves just as we are, to be present with a busy headspace, to be present with uncomfortable emotions, to be present with aches and pains in the body. And through that willingness to be present, slowly and surely we start to heal the brain. And that healing is occurring at a structural level, and it happens as soon as just 8 hours of collective meditation. So if you were to start meditating just a few minutes a day, after a few weeks, you'd already start to structurally heal your brain. I like to think of the headspace, the brain, as sort of like a series of riverbeds. We have these neural pathways in our brain that carry a flow of energy and information in the same way a riverbed carries water. It's going to flow in the same direction it's always flowed unless there's some intervention. And meditation is our intervention, one wandering thought at a time. It's sort of like taking out a shovel and starting to dig a new riverbed. Initially, just a little bit of water is going to flow that way, just a little bit of energy and information. But ultimately, with time and practice, it'll become the predominant way that energy and information flows away from anxiety and stress, depression, into the peace of the present moment. So we're going to do, we'll shift gears here into a bit of a longer meditation, but we're going to expand our attention beyond just the breath to include our 5 senses in a practice that's sometimes known as mindfulness or five senses mindfulness would be more accurate. Mindfulness is more of a broad general term that refers to an awareness and acceptance of the present moment, both within and without. But five senses mindfulness, we're specifically focused on our external experience through our five senses. So I usually illustrate this through a cup of coffee. Now, a normal cup of coffee, we got that coffee, we got our cell phone, we're paying attention to both. We're also thinking about that fight we had with a loved one yesterday and that meeting we have in an hour. So our attention, our awareness is divided among all these things. It's kind of ping-ponging back and forth. And there's a sense of division there for all of us, even if it's become normal to us, because that's how we've lived our lives for so long. But a mindful cup of coffee is one where first you make the choice to turn the cell phone over. And then instead of thinking about the past or the future, you bring all of your awareness to the sensory experience of this cup of coffee. So you feel the warmth of the coffee in the palm of your hand. You maybe notice the steam rising up, or maybe it's got a fancy latte swirl or one of those things going on. I'm not really a coffee drinker. Maybe some foam or something like that. I don't know. Then you bring the coffee to your nose. You appreciate the aroma, and you taste it, and you actually mindfully taste it. You swallow it down. You feel the warmth going down into your abdomen. And so all of your attention, all of your awareness is unified in the experience of this cup of coffee. And we feel that union. We feel that sense of calm that comes with that. So we're going to do a meditation now. We're going to focus and scan through each of our five senses. This one's going to be a little bit longer. So I invite you to get as comfortable as you'd like. Generally speaking, we're looking to have a straight spine in meditation, but we can achieve that in a chair, against a wall, lying on the floor. We're going to go about 10 to 15 minutes. So please take your time and get situated. And a reminder as well, it's not a stillness competition. So if you choose one posture, let's say you're lying down and all of a sudden you sense you're falling asleep and you want to sit back up, feel free to do so. If you're seated and then all of a sudden you get some aches and pains in the body and you want to lie down, feel free to do so. Again, we're not engaged in a stillness competition. So I would invite you guys to get comfortable, to get situated. And as well, again, inviting you to close your eyes. Always, if you'd like to keep them open, you feel free to do so. If you want to take a peek, you feel free to do so. But getting settled into your preferred meditation posture. And we will start this meditation just as with the first one, with 3 deep breaths. So let's inhale through the nose and sigh it out. Again, inhale, sigh it out. And lastly, inhale and letting go. So we'll begin with a few more rounds of that easy breathing. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling slow and steady through those pursed lips, gently extending the exhaling breath. Reminding ourselves we're not trying to stop our thoughts. Our mind absolutely will wander. Just noticing whenever it does and making a conscious choice to let go of that thought, that story in your headspace, that distraction, and to come back to your breath, come back to the present moment. In through the nose, slow and steady out through the mouth. So as we practice this easy breathing, we'll call to mind our sense of hearing. Start to listen to this flow of the breath. Listen to the sound of the inhalation, the sound of the slow, steady exhalation. Anchoring yourself to the present moment through the breath, and as well through your sense of hearing. We can allow that awareness of our sense of hearing to expand outward, Just listening to the entirety of the sounds that surround you. Perhaps first noticing those sounds that are the most obvious. The sound of my voice. Other sounds in your environment that compel your attention. Just listening to the present moment. And as we listen, perhaps at times our own inner monologue might become loud, intrusive. That's okay. We're not trying to fight those thoughts. We allow them to be there. Just continue to intend our awareness toward our sense of hearing, listening to the present moment. And as we listen, we can let go of that easy breathing if we'd like and return to our normal, natural breath. Perhaps listening to the sound of our normal breath cycle. Now we can shift our awareness toward our sense of sight with the eyes remaining closed, starting to notice light passing through your closed eyelids. It manifests for each of us very uniquely. So just noticing whatever is available to you at the backs of the eyelids. Might be colors, shapes, shadows. Might be a sense of movement across the eyelids or stillness. Anytime we find ourselves distracted, we just become aware and return ourselves to our sense of sight. As we maintain our connection to the breath, we can also become aware of our sense of smell. So noticing any scent in the air, any scent upon your clothes or your skin. One breath at a time, connecting to your sense of smell. Shifting awareness once again now to your sense of taste. Noticing any tastes in the mouth lingering from earlier in the day. It might even be just a taste of nothingness. You can explore that just the same. And as we notice our sense of taste, we also might become aware of our sense of touch and feel within the mouth, the tongue, teeth and gums. Just bringing some awareness there. We can expand that awareness of our sense of touch and feel throughout the whole body. Becoming mindful of our body interacting with our external environment. So noticing perhaps the temperature in the room upon your skin. Maybe there's a fan blowing and you might notice that sensation. It's quite subtle, but we might also notice the weight, the warmth of our clothes. We can feel our body making contact with whatever surface is supporting us in this moment. You feel those individual points of contact at the feet, the legs, the back. Just taking a few breaths to scan through those individual points of contact. And as we anchor to our sense of touch and feel throughout the body, if our mind wanders off, that's okay. Just become aware. Come back to the feel of the body. If we sense a bit of frustration with this experience, we might wish to return to a few rounds of that easy breathing, extending our exhale. We can take this experience of mindfulness a bit further inward. And so rather than experiencing our body making contact with the external environment, we can bring attention to the feel of the body itself. So you might wish to begin with an awareness of both hands, just sensing the presence of both hands, your fingers in the palms. It might be helpful to wiggle the fingers for a moment to help enliven your attention there. And again, come to stillness. You can sense both arms, the feel of both arms. Awareness now of both feet, sensing the soles of the feet, the toes, tops of the feet, and the heels. And again, we could wiggle the toes if we need to bring some awareness. Sensing both legs. Sensing the entire torso, the front of the torso, abdomen, chest, and the back, low back, mid back, upper back and shoulder blades. Sensing the neck, and the back of the head. sensing the face, sensing the entire scalp and the crown of the head. And becoming aware now of the feel of the whole body. You might sense areas of coolness, areas of warmth, areas of tension or ease. The movement of the breath, sensing the whole body. Connected to the breath, sensing the whole body. No need to fight those thoughts as they arise. We allow them to move through. No need to fight any emotions we might be experiencing. We just simply breathe, remaining present with ourselves just as we are. In this space of meditation, we have nothing to change, manage, or control. One breath at a time, accepting ourselves just as we are. Accepting the present moment just as it is. And so let's begin to deepen the breath just a bit, inviting some wakefulness back into the body. So allowing your inhale to be a bit more full and your exhale a bit more complete. Waking the body with the breath. We'll close out our meditation now with 3 deep breaths, just as we began. So together inhaling and sighing it out. And again, inhale and sigh it out. And lastly, inhale and letting go. As you're ready, opening the eyes. You might wish to move, stretch. Now again, that meditation might have been peaceful and relaxing. It also might have been frustrating, boring. It is all meditation. As I said, it's a practice in self-acceptance. And one of the wonderful facets that relates to our mental health, our stress, is the more we meditate, we reduce our emotional reactivity. We become less emotionally reactive to our lives, and we start to respond more objectively with a sense of ease. And so this occurs with the external world. We get a surprise visit from our in-laws, or somebody cuts us off in traffic. We're less prone to react out of emotion. It also relates to our inner world of thought. We become less reactive to our own thoughts, thoughts that at times can be uncomfortable, painful, self-limiting. My own experience, largely self-hating. And so we become less emotionally reactive. Our thoughts control us less and less. And so we start to have this freedom that exists beyond the limitations of our thinking mind, which is largely formulated from our past experiences. And so as we cultivate this sense of ease and reduced emotional reactivity, we start to forge these new neural pathways, again, that lead us away from those places of stress and anxiety into the present moment, where life is vastly easier to navigate. So if we were interested in pursuing meditation and mindfulness as part of our daily lives, in a perfect world, we might meditate a half hour every day. Now that's a lot. So that's a perfect world, right? None of us live in a perfect world, so we're going to meet ourselves where we're at. We might meditate. I have some of my students meditate 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening. Some are 10 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. Anything that works for you and your schedule. But as a guiding principle, what I offer to folks is it is far more beneficial for you to meditate 1 minute a day for 15 days than it is to meditate once for 15 minutes. We don't want to create this lofty expectation, I must meditate a half hour a day. No, we want to meet ourselves where we're at, start with 1 minute a day for 15 days. We want to start to create this habit for ourselves on a daily basis, an opportunity. Even 1 minute of self-care is beneficial to us. And it will have this, it'll grow over time, because that minute of peace that we give to ourselves, we're going to start to crave that. And we're going to stay that minute to 2 minutes, and grow to 5 minutes and 10 minutes. And we'll start to make time. Even if we're not a morning person, we'll start to set the alarm a little bit earlier. And I speak from experience, because I was definitely not a morning person. I'm still not sure that I am. Yeah, so meet ourselves where we're at. And even if we're not engaged, or perhaps in addition to a traditional meditation practice, we can use the practice of mindfulness throughout our daily lives. So I often point folks to their morning routine. We already talked about that cup of coffee. Just a few mindful sips with that cup of coffee will bring just a little bit of a sense of ease. We could also look to our morning routine of brushing our teeth, taking a shower, noticing the feel of the bristles on your teeth, your gums, the aroma, the taste of the toothpaste. Hop in the shower, you feel the water pressure, the coolness or the warmth of the water. Perhaps you go for a morning walk if you have the time, and you can smell the fresh air. You can feel your feet making contact with the ground. All these little individual moments of mindfulness will have a cumulative effect throughout your day, and then ultimately throughout your life. So meditation and mindfulness, there's really three key facets that I'll offer to you in closing to sort of propel you forward. Number one is consistency. It's again, not setting this lofty expectation. It's just about being consistent with it, doing it on a daily basis. Start with that 1 minute in the morning, but commit to yourselves to just do that each and every day. And I generally try to get folks to incorporate it into your morning routine. It's so much easier to get away from it if we're going to do it after work or after we drop the kids off or whatever. But if you wake up just a minute earlier and start there, that's a wonderful starting point, and it's a lot easier to maintain that morning routine. And then you're more likely, if you do it in the morning, to do it later in the day. So consistency, number one. Number two is accountability. This thing up here is tough to tame. And again, I speak from personal experience. So some external accountability can be wonderful. There's a lot of meditation apps that might be helpful to you to provide some measure of accountability. The more popular ones are Calm and Headspace. But the one that I offer to folks and recommend most often, because it's free, is Insight Timer. Insight Timer. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of free meditations on that app from meditation teachers across the globe. And I think that's something that's really helpful when you're doing a guided meditation. Sometimes it comes down to finding a teacher that you resonate with, the style of the practice, the sound of their voice, all those things. So Insight Timer is a great resource and can provide some measure of accountability, but I think that human accountability is even better. So we can get that a couple of different ways. If there's happens to be a meditation teacher that we're connected to, or a class in the area, we want to go there once a week or something like that. Through the Ed Lally Foundation, we offer free virtual classes every Monday. We call it Mindful Mental Health Mondays. Myself and my co-director at the foundation, Tara Capity, at 12 noon every day, we guide a half-hour meditation accessible to everybody, beginners. So that's virtual. We also have a men's mindful mental health group and a women's mindful mental health group, an opportunity to just connect and speak and share and close out with some mindfulness practice. And then beyond that, perhaps even just connecting with a friend or a family member who might be interested, and you guys can hold each other accountable and root each other on, and kind of check in with each other with those 1-minute meditations, and celebrate when they grow to 15 minutes or a half hour a day. So accountability. And then lastly, patience. Patience with yourself, patience with the process. It is at times a frustratingly subtle process. And while it is not a quick fix, it is a real, genuine, lasting answer for mental health, wellness, improving your ability to cope with, navigate, and heal from stress, depression, anxiety, and just improving your general level of happiness. And again, I speak from personal experience, because for more than 2 decades, I was riddled with anxiety. And certainly I had some external circumstances, dealing with my father and his multiple bouts of depression, attempts of suicide, my own professional things. But more than anything, it had to do with my inner world and how I processed those things and how I was emotionally reactive to those things. So consistency, accountability, and patience. It's not a quick fix, but it is a real lasting answer for your mental wellness and well-being.